New Balance has just released the FuelCell Rebel Trail. But if you know anything about the Rebel line, this is nothing like what you might expect. If you've run in the road version of the Rebel, you know it as a cult classic. It's famous for being light, incredibly soft, and arguably the fastest non-plate racing shoe on the market. But this new trail version, this is a complete departure from that DNA. It's heavier, it's firmer, and it's built for much more technical terrain. In fact, if you go into this expecting Rebel with lugs, you're in for a very big surprise. So the real question that we have to answer today is this actually a good trail shoe, or is this just a lower stack, slightly confused version of something like the Hierro Fresh Foam? And perhaps most importantly, can it actually compete with the gold standard of this category, the Peregrine 16? When you first look at it, the Rebel Trail doesn't fit neatly into one category. It's not a max cushion monster truck, and it's not a lightweight racing shoe either. By the end of this video, I'm going to show you exactly how it compares to the Peregrine 16. You'll find out if New Balance has finally made a shoe that can take the technical crown, or if this is just another middle-of-the-road option that fails to stand out. Let's dive into the midsole. Before we talk about feel, let's look at the hard numbers. The shoe comes in at 10.2 ounces or 289 grams for a size 9 men's US. For context, that's over 2 ounces heavier than its road running sibling. As for the geometry, we're looking at a 33mm heel and a 27mm forefoot. That gives us a 6mm heel to toe, which is actually quite standard in the New Balance. On paper, a 33mm heel of fuel cell sounds like a recipe for a bouncy ride, but in practice, this is not a soft, squishy setup at all. New Balance has tuned this fuel cell foam to be denser than what we see in their road racing shoes. It lacks that squish and pop sensation that has made the Road Rebel so famous. Instead of sinking into the foam, you feel like you're sitting on top of a firm platform. It reminds me of a traditional racing flat than a modern super shoe. Now in technical terrain, that firmness actually becomes your best friend. When the ground is uneven, think roots, loose shale, jagged stones, a soft shoe can be a liability. If the foam compresses too much because you stepped on a sharp edge, you can lose control. Your ankle rolls slightly and you find yourself fighting the shoe rather than the trail. With the Rebel Trail, you get a much more consistent and predictable platform. The foam holds its shape under pressure and every step feels planted. That's the part this shoe does exceptionally well. Mastery over technical terrain. You feel connected with the ground without feeling every single pebble. It's a very communicative ride that tells you exactly what's happening underfoot. However, there is a cost to that firmness when the miles start adding up. I'll get to that in a moment. First, we need to look at what's happening underneath the shoe, because in my opinion, the outsole is the strongest part of the Rebel Trail. New Balance didn't cut any corners here. They went straight to the gold standard Vibram Megagrip. It's one of the few compounds that find purchase on wet, slimy rocks and greasy roots, but the compound is only half the story. The lug design here is aggressive, featuring deep 5mm lugs with wide spacing. Straight away, that tells you the shoe is built for more demanding conditions. We aren't talking about groomed gravel paths or flat trails. This is built for deep mud and slippy technical climbs. There is a significant amount of rubber coverage across the entire outsole. You'll notice additional ridges and micro lugs throughout the midfoot and the forefoot. This is crucial because on technical trails, you're almost never landing perfectly flat. You're landing on the side of your foot or braking hard on your heels. No matter how you strike the earth, this outsole is designed to find a bite point. It gave me a lot of confidence when descending at high speeds. From a traction point of view, this is a very capable, top-tier option. It honestly outgrips the Hierro and feels much more mountain ready. But once you combine that heavy-duty rubber with a firm midsole, that ride becomes very specific. It creates a stiff sensation that might be a surprise for the standard Rebel fans. But one of the biggest surprises during testing was the level of protection. Usually for a technical shoe, you'd expect a rock plate in the midsole. The Rebel Trail doesn't have one. But here's the thing, I'm not sure it actually needs it. Between the increased density of the foam and the thickness of the rubber, you're well protected. New Balance is using structure and density for protection rather than a physical plate. This keeps the shoe slightly more flexible, which helps with the ground contact feel and proprioception. But it also reinforces that firm sensation as you're not insulated from the trail by a cloud. For some runners, that's exactly what they want. For others, it might feel a little bit too harsh on the joints. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. This will determine whether you buy or keep looking. The firmness of the Rebel Trail is great for stability and confidence. It's great for a 60-minute blast where you're navigating rocky terrain. But over long runs, it can start to feel quite unforgiving. You don't get that vibration dampening that many modern trail shoes offer. After mile 10, you might find running this shoe hard work, especially if you're used to more energetic midsoles like the Speedgoat 7 or the Trabuco 14. If you're training for a 50k, this might be a tough sell, but for a technical 15k race, it might be the perfect option. Moving to the upper, New Balance's balanced durability and weighed perfectly. They've used a lightweight, semi-transparent mesh that looks like it belongs on a racing shoe. However, it's surprisingly tough and doesn't have a full internal liner. This is a big win for breathability and drainage after stream crossings. The fit is a classic New Balance, secure on the heel, snug in the midfoot. It prevents your foot from sliding inside the shoe during steep off-camber descents. The toe box is fairly standard, not too wide but not too narrow either. Give your toes enough room to splay without feeling sloppy. The toe bumper is present, but it is subtle. It will save you from a light stub on the route, but it's not as reinforced as you might expect from a technical trail shoe. Overall, the upper stays out of your way, which is exactly what you want. It's simple, effective, and feels premium on your foot. Now let's address the big question. How does it stock up against the Saucony Peregrine 16? With the latest updates for 2026, these two are now direct rivals. Both have moved towards more protection while keeping a technical feel. The Peregrine 16 has a 32mm heel, putting it right in line with the Rebel's 33mm. And interestingly, Saucony finally made the jump to Vibram Megagrip 2. So how do you choose between them? The Peregrine 16 still feels like the quicker shoe in my testing. It's lighter, coming in at 282 grams versus 289 in the Rebel. The 4mm drop also feels a bit more natural on steep, aggressive climbs. On those vertical climbs, the Peregrine feels like it has a bit more snap to it. But when you turn around and head down the mountain, the story can change. The New Balance Rebel Trail wins on sheer stability and foothold. While the Peregrine 16 has more cushioning than the 15, it can still feel a bit thin in the technical sections. The Rebel Trail feels more planted and substantial. It's a wider platform that inspires confidence on technical descents. If you want a slightly lighter weight shoe that's a bit more energetic and a bit more snap to it, go with the Peregrine. If you want a rugged trail shoe that feels athletic and gives you a great ground contact feel, go with the Rebel Trail. Both are fantastic, but they serve different moods on the trail. One is about speed and agility, and the other is about control and reliability. So which one would you pick up? And what's your thoughts on New Balance's new trail shoe? Let me know in the comment section below. We've got links to the shoes in the description if you want to check out the latest price on Amazon. And if you watch the show regularly but you haven't subscribed, please do, as a single thing that you can do for free that makes the biggest difference to the channel. Thank you very much for watching.